So Geoffrey O Dell, I'm currently the CEO of a startup called Trusted HIT, which is involved in helping small to medium-sized life science and healthcare companies manage complexities in IT. Prior to that, I was the VP of operations for Novartis, covering the global infrastructure, the global IT infrastructure, and had responsibility for pretty much everything with a chip in it for the whole company except for research. I think with the cryptocurrency, the challenge today is I think we're at this tipping point of where things are going to go, and there have been competing technologies that have been coming out, and some have been a little more successful than others. The concept of credit cards in 20 years may be consigned to the dustbin of history, and checking accounts, things like that. So I think the whole banking space is going to be impacted. It's going to hit everybody and everything, and I'm not sure anyone has yet come up with this is how the future is going to look, but it's going to be a part of it for sure. So Matryx is to me, it's like a framework under which you can collaborate in a totally different way, right? So the idea of having tokens that people can utilize and rewards that come out of sort of a collaborative effort, I think sort of goes back to the early days of, I'll say, the internet, when co-opetition was sort of a big thing. And I specifically remember in the automotive industry when Ford set up this whole thing of where their part suppliers could sort of go to this marketplace and bid on certain pieces of work and stuff like that. So it to me is taking that to the next level and making it a collaboration. If you can imagine, some of the amazing scientists that work at these companies, with Novartis, GSK, Pfizer, AstraZeneca, whomever, have them get together to try and solve a human health problem, as opposed to trying to do it individually, right? So you've got, I think a simple equation of 1 + 1 + 1 equals about 10, not 3 or 4. And so providing that sort of amplification of ideas, it seems to be a great idea and an amazing platform. I think that the challenge is going to be on the specifics and how you would go about in a specific case rewarding that particular piece of new information that came in to solve another piece of a problem, because these things are never sort of single-threaded. They're always multifaceted, and there's always, well, we got this, and we got this little problem here, and then how do you solve that? So I think the idea of this cascade that's built in within Matryx, I think, really helps that. There are many, many human health problems that are applicable to this sort of space. I mean, you could go and say, well, cancer, right? Okay, well, that's a huge field. So even go down to, the 24 forms of breast cancer that there are. Okay, let's focus on breast cancer. How do you do that? Every large pharma that's in the oncology space has got, I'm sure, breast cancer programs going. Is there a way to share that and still get rewarded for it, so that the investment that they've made so far isn't sort of just thrown out, like it would be with a drug that failed in trials or the program was cut off. So I think the economics of it have got there's some work to be done on it. But it certainly, I would think it's applicable. For example, I know Novartis has been giving away hundreds of thousands of doses of anti-malarials over the years, and conservatively, millions of people have been saved by the generosity of the company, and then they've been giving it at cost to the governments, right, rather than making any money on it. So things like that in that sort of area might be an interesting place to start, where these diseases have been around for a long time, and there's not enough individual effort from one company to another put onto it. But maybe if you collect it together, maybe there is. I think having the university sort of behind it and as a foundation really helps. But the team's great. I think they're bringing all sorts of different skills to a problem that has perhaps not even been thought about in quite the way that they've thought about it. And having the ability to see something coming out of where they started in sort of the modeling and the mathematical space, saying, well, this is great, but that's sort of a business that's maybe yay big. But now with this idea around Matryx, suddenly business is much bigger, right? And the potential of it can grow much more. Nano Pro itself, when I first saw it, which was in its early stages, it blew me away. Having seen how the medicinal chemists and the biologists had to interact when I was here at GNF here in town. It seemed like it was providing them a space to understand molecules in a different way. And as we started talking to them, it became clear that not only would it help the chemists and the molecular designers and so forth, but it would also help them explain things to the biologists, right? And trying to do that across a 2D computer screen or from a bunch of PowerPoints is very frustrating to them. But having the ability to immerse them in the sort of surround the molecule, and certainly collaborating across distance and time zones is huge, because very rarely do things happen in one place, right? I mean, they do, but most of the time there's a bunch of collaborators around the world. So having the ability to actually have somebody lead the other colleagues through the thinking at the molecule and be able to see it, and either see it from the opposite side or turn it and basically come behind and look over the virtual shoulder of the person who's talking it through, is huge. So that whole idea of collaboratively doing it seems that it would speed things up dramatically, and you get, I would think, better quality at the end. That's the goal, is if you can speed something to market, that could potentially be millions and millions of dollars.